Hello, I'm Michael Sameka, and I'm here having an incredible opportunity to talk with George Skaroulis today. And this is going to be quite informative. And if I have my dither, this is going to work out to be a really, really good recognition, I guess is the right word I'd like to use. I'd like to do my best to be able to see if I can impart some recognition for George Skaroulis. So I'm looking at his Wikipedia page, and it says he's a Greek American pianist who has released 16 albums of music, and I believe that's up to 18 now. Born in Clearwater, Florida, mother was classically trained, and that he began playing piano at the age of 5. Although he experienced shyness and stage fright, he later began performing in piano stores and at the local mall, accompanied by his father, and entered annual talent shows at school. At the age of 10, his parents encouraged him to take piano lessons, but he quit after 5 weeks after his teacher discovered he was playing by ear. From then from then on, George Skaroulis taught himself piano by practicing. George, welcome. How are you, beautiful man?
Wow, I'm great, thank you, and thanks for such a wonderful flashback.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, when you hear that, do you even believe that we're talking about you, or does it feel like we're talking about somebody else when I say
It
this?
does. It does feel like somebody else. So I haven't read that in so long. So it is like a nice, refreshing reunion. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. So, what I want to let people know is how we got to even become friends. So, it's a beautiful story. I have a client, his name is Howard Algier, and he found your music. I guess it was at a Greek festival. And he was so in love with your music that he bought me a CD called Imagine. And he brought it to me. And I fell in love with it. I mean, I really did right off the get go. There are some amazing tracks on that. And we'll cover that in a little bit because I do want to take a little walk down your catalog, a little
Oh boy.
discography. I know. But it's going to be fun. But anyway, just so that you know, I find your music to be incredibly supportive for the kind of work that I've been doing, hands-on healing. I'm a chiropractor, and it just really sets the tone nicely and is very, very supportive for people to get better, to get more aware, to become more in touch with their bodies, which is really important aspect of healing. And so what I found about your music, many, many things. Number one, it's in a very, very interesting place. It's in a very sweet spot where it's not elevator music, it's not muzak, and it's not just background music. It's facilitating music. I find it to be very, very effective to the listener and to the listeners. And I've had many people throughout the years comment on how nice my music is in the office. And so I've purchased all of the CDs that I could and MP3s that I could. And I just have been enamored with how I did never find myself tiring of your music, that whatever it did originally when I first heard it, in basically going into your whole entire catalog and getting my hands on anything George Skaroulis, it's still 2022, still holds up today as it did years and years ago. I
Thank
felt
you.
you're very welcome. And I felt inspired to reach out to you when I found out that you are in Atlanta. And so that was very nice. And you were just really, really, really nice to me. And I knew that I always felt a little guilty in the fact that I've been using your music professionally in my office. And you weren't getting any money. You weren't getting any of the love that if, oh, hang on, it says, okay, there you go. And you really weren't getting any of the love that, the what do they even call that? The royalties, I guess. And so I really wanted to honor you, and you gave me that opportunity to, and you came by, and I had people, and we had a George Skaroulis night, and gave you an opportunity to really meet some people that have known your music most intimately. And it really just worked. And I felt good in being able to recognize you in person and to be able to say, here, thank you. This is for years of playing your music, and just thank you. And you've been amazing with me. You really brought me in and let me into your world. And you know, as a guy who was just a fanboy, it meant a lot to me that you really let me into your life. And we have been such great friends since. And I'm so thrilled that you're so warm on top of everything else. And I do feel there's no coincidences at all, because I knew there's a reason why your music touches me so well, besides the fact that you let the notes breathe. You have an amazing gift. It is a gift. So I don't know what I'm leaving out here, except for the fact that it is surprising that you're not any more famous than you are. And you're pretty famous, and we're going to go over that tonight. But it's amazing that you're not a household name yet. Anyway, I was hoping that this video would really be a tribute to you, as well as perhaps maybe it can even be a catalyst, if you will, where people can maybe be exposed to you and find their way to your catalog the way I did. And maybe it just falls into the right hands at some time. So that's my intention.
Well, thank you for this. And I will never forget the night that you invited me to be around all of your wonderful friends and clients. And I walked into just such a surprise. You know, it was such a wonderful feeling to get so much love from people I'd never really met before. So thank you for that. And it was amazing. And I'm so glad to be your friend. And, you know, it took me a few minutes to open up. And once you invited me in, I guess I invited you in. It was just really, really nice.
Well, thank you. Well, you're quite the hit in my circle of the world. So, and my wife loves Brian, and we are very, very fortunate indeed. So let's get this thing on the road here. What I want to start out with, I was looking at your collection and I put them all down. So forgive me for looking down a lot, because I'm looking at my notes here because I want to do this right. But I have this saying, and it's been really, really true. And I'm not that good at it right now because I'm still really excited about doing this. But there's a phrase and a sentence that I use, and it's like, speak in such a way where your words do not disturb the silence. And I'm just a little bit of an excitable boy, so you have to forgive me. But I believe that your music actually does that. I believe your music can fill the room with these incredible melodies and sounds, and your energy and the way you play and the way you let notes breathe, that it really doesn't interfere with the silence. And I find that to be remarkably, you know, just an incredible gift, and that you have, and a gift for me in my office and such. So I wanted to let you know that. So what I'm thinking about doing here is, I know that you really can't remember all the titles of all your songs because there are so many. But
that is correct.
I'm very aware. But you can help me even pronounce some of them. So, and I know that most of the songs on most of your albums are your creations, you know, and certainly even the covers that you do, you certainly have a very interesting arrangement that you've done. And I'm going to just literally go through just a little bit, you know, at least one song per CD or album, whatever we want to call it, and see if there's anything that you actually remember or want to, because I don't think you will. So let's start with, like, first off, how did you even get to record Homeland, the original, the 1996 CD? And that was a hard one for me to get a hold of, dude. So what's up with that? I mean, that thing is like pure gold. I mean, talk about being out of print. That's not easy. So what can you tell me about the CD Homeland, and how did you even get into recording?
Okay, that's a very good question. So I've always kind of been playing privately, you know. So I met a pianist at the Mart downtown in Atlanta. His name is Bradley Hedrick, and he was very successful selling his music to the gift industry and to the spa industry and all of that. And even though we had different styles, he was, kind of my mentor at the time. And he encouraged me to produce my first album. And, I asked for his help, and, he helped me do it for the first time. And it was a scary step, but it was very exciting. It was 1996 back in, it was released right during the Olympics, or right before the Olympics took place in Atlanta. So that's how it all started. And he found me because I was playing at the Fox Theater. Next to the Fox Theater, there's a restaurant. And once a week, I would play the piano in the front window on a Monday night. So there was hardly anybody there. And he
Wow.
came in for dinner, heard me play, and that's kind of how we met.
Wow. Powerful.
So
and
it was a long time ago.
Were you okay playing at that point in 1996, playing live? Were you comfortable?
Yes, but it was more like I was just playing background music. It wasn't like I was on the stage. It was kind of just creating an environment and a nice dinner mood. So it was kind of, nobody was really like, it was just kind of an ambience, it wasn't like, oh, here's George on the piano. It wasn't like that. It was just creating a mood.
I could see that being a win-win for you, that you would be so successful at not drawing attention to yourself, and where people wouldn't be sitting there staring and listening and taking in every note the way I do, and how that would be a win-win for you, in the fact that you would play in such a way that you could be background. I could see how that would work. Right. And people who brought you in, you're certainly being successful for the intention of bringing you in. How did you decide on the songs? Do you remember the first collection? I mean, I know you covered an awful lot of them in Return to Homeland, which we'll get to, but how did you really come to decide which songs to do, originals, covers, like that?
Gosh, so many of the songs were inspired by my trips to Greece with my family. My dad, fortunately, was, an avid traveler. So we went, all over the world, and going to Greece, our homeland, was, certainly a highlight in it. It really inspired all of us, as kids, to connect with where we all came from. So a lot of those song titles, kind of relate to, going to Greece and connecting with our heritage. So that's where Homeland comes in.
And it comes through. And even to this day, this is one of the things, if you remember it, I acknowledge you, is how well you represent your history, where you've come from. You do an incredible job of, there's a pride that you have for the Greek culture. And there's even a new CD coming out pretty soon, right? Dreams of Greece. What's the first word?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Pretty exciting. And after all these years, you still have a loyalty and a deep connection and fondness to your history. Where did that come from? I mean, how come, where most people lose it, how have you been able to maintain your history?
Two men in my life were very vital to that. My dad, Mike Skaroulis, he was very proud of his heritage, and he always wore a Greek American flag, or, something that represented, his heritage. He was a very proud Greek American. And also my grandfather, who lived with us in my earlier years. He was born in Greece. So being exposed to him, to his cooking, his techniques, his traditions, it had an effect on all of us. So that's kind of where it, I guess, it began at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. Well, I want to highlight a specific song, and I've talked to you about this before, and actually will be doing my part to pitch this song for a future collection. Whether you use this version or re-record it, I'll leave that up to you, or modify it. But the song Hymn, wow, what a melody. I wasn't really familiar with this. I know it's a cover. What can you tell me about that? And let me play a little bit here before you comment.
Okay, great.
This is what your music does to me. And I have to slow down now, George. I mean, this is just one song from the first CD, and this is consistently you. What do you have to say for yourself?
Wow, I haven't heard that in such a long time. So I do remember I remember that song and being inspired by it and kind of honoring another Greek composer and who has such a great wealth of music and has scored so many films. And, that's kind of always been my, I want to do more of that. So that probably was what inspired the recording of him. And I think it was also in a commercial back then for probably like Lambrusco or some wine or something. I forget who it was, but I think they used that theme in the background in their commercials, and that probably made it very popular.
Well, for the audience, it's Vangelis, right? So
Yes.
was he somebody that you listened to a lot and you just cherry picked that song, or is that something that just jumped out at you? How did
I
that
knew
work?
his music a little bit, but not a lot. And so I think the commercial it was just it was popular at the time.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it just seemed like a logical song to include.
Mhm. Now, just for the sake of time, because I really do want to go on and on and on, I could really honor that CD, and it deserves some work. It's out of print. So how do people get a hold of this? Is there a way? I mean, is there ever possibly that this can be resurrected on digital, or no way? There's some legal pieces that are not going to allow this to ever see the light of day again, or
Mhm.
how does it work?
I could certainly make it digital. Yeah.
But again, as a fanboy, anything that you have is pure gold. And yeah, so anything that you can do to get that out would be great. It's all extra bonus. And so let's move on to Numinous, shall we? The first real CD, I think that's still available and still performing very well, especially the title track. Um, Let me just play a little bit of this now because I think it really set the theme about this entire collection, which I think is remarkable, by the way.
Thank you.
what absolutely touches me about this piece is how much love you still get. I mean, I don't know if you do YouTube much, and if you see how people respond to your music to this day, and how many people are still just finding you. Now, this is from 1998, so it's a couple of years ago. What do you remember about this piece?
Well, Numinous this music was created for a kind of multi-dimensional art exhibit that took place in Atlanta. So I believe there were 7 or 8 galleries that were involved, and they all were to display. The challenge was to kind of, in unison display a spiritual collection of art. And I wanted to create music that had kind of a spiritual but not a religious base. So it was kind of like anybody could listen to this and look at the art at the same time and have just kind of a quiet experience, and just hopefully the music would enhance the installations.
Mm.
And so my friend Anthony Ardeman had a gallery at the time in Atlanta in Buckhead, and we worked on this together, and that's how it all happened. And the artwork is from Sebastian Spring. He's a wonderful, wonderful guy. He lives in Miami. And so he did the cover art for Numinous, and it was one of the pieces that was included in this exhibit.
Fabulous. And talk a little bit about the making of this, because what still holds up today is the layering. And I'm a fan of your layering. It really helps people leave their bodies and go to another world, a meditative state, which is where a lot of great work happens for people who need healing. So what can you tell me about, what can you remember about the recording of that, the arranging of that, the layering of that? It's an amazing, timeless piece.
Thank you. It kind of surprises me, because that was kind of my own fiddling with my own sound. So I didn't have a producer at the time. I was just really, everything was recorded on my keyboard, and I just kind of continually adding layers. And I know it's time for me to do a little more of that. So it was my first attempt at kind of doing it myself. And completely different genre from, not completely, but a little more ethereal and a little more meditative in style, I guess. So
absolutely. And it works. I mean, what's amazing is the amount of different audiences you reach, because you cover such a wide variety. As you know, I'm a major fan of your CD Passion, which is really a beautifully stripped down version of just a man at the piano, just feeling so well and beautifully. And it's almost amazing that it's the same guy, and you can see that these selections, these tracks of yours, they definitely have different purposes, if you will, or they'll have different effects. And it's wonderful that it all came through one man throughout the years of his career,
Thank you.
I'm looking on YouTube right now, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you. I don't know if you're familiar, but another track, Calling, from that same Numinous collection. And I just want to read some of the quotes. One just came from 4 months ago. Now think about this. This is a song that you basically released in 1998. And 4 months ago, a gentleman, and most of you, and by the way, I'm going to put some of these links on this video in YouTube, and let people see these comments, because most of the comments are not in English. They're in a foreign language. And it's amazing how far reaching your music has been. You are really an international phenomenon, which is still, and one of the best kept secrets on the planet. And yet you're still reaching so many people all over the world. But the comments that I can read, and what blew me away about Calling, which is like Numinous for me, and the way you've layered it, very, very powerful. And the calling, we have calls to answer. Listen to this quote from 4 months ago.
Wow.
This is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. So let me have a moment here just to play a little bit of The Calling. all the other quotes are not in English. I mean, just so you know. So I'm going to say that
I have
again.
not looked at any of that for a while. So thanks for letting me know.
And obviously, George, this is a favorite of yours, like Numinous. This has shown up on collections that you have, including songs for Sophie. And what do you remember about The Calling? I know we're going back to 1998, but is there anything that you remember about making and recording this track?
Thank you so much. Wow. I do love that song. I don't really listen to my music hardly ever. So it's nice to step back in time a little bit and hear that song. I know you love that one. So
Very much so. So why don't you show us a little bit about your space that you're in? I see you're in front of the keyboard. Should I have you hitting some keys right now, or is there
these don't work. These
don't
just
work.
For show.
And I love the picture in the back of Sanctuary 2, right? I see that, and I see what your wall. I love your room.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, people think I have a real piano in here, but it's really just a prop.
Wow. Impressive. Can you actually hear that while you did that just now? Could you hear the notes?
Can you?
No.
No.
No, I cannot.
One moment. I thought it was loud enough for you to hear. Hold on, see if I can fix that real quick.
Oh, heard that.
Let me go as high as I can go. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Is that better?
It's gonna have to do.
All right. Sorry. Is it too loud?
It wasn't coming through at all, but maybe it'll come in on the recording. Maybe I'll be surprised when I listen to it. I heard that. I heard that.
Is it clear or blurry?
It's a little distancy, but it's still you. Yeah. I mean, but after listening to these recordings that we've been playing so far, it's the music is so clean and crisp coming through on the video.
I think there's a lot of verb on this. I can maybe turn that off, and maybe that'll help.
Well, let me ask. No, I'm good right now. But let me just change gears here, and just before we leave Numinous, and let me ask you, Blue Night. Come on, George. What were you thinking? Where did you come up with that name? I'm serious. 1998, Blue Night.
Well, I'm Greek, so I love blue, as you can see.
It's so fascinating. I mean, I do believe our connection is absolutely beautiful, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you. I just wanted to point out that I do a thing called Blue Night. And so on Wednesday evenings, and the fact that you have a song called Blue Night was just so synchronistic, especially since it was recorded such a long time before I even knew it existed. And Blue Night been going for a pretty long time now. So anyway.
Thank you.
Just
congratulations. One day I'm going to make it to Blue Night. Or one night I'm going to make it to Blue Night.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. So I'm going to go into now season's traditions. Anything you want to say about your first of your many Christmas CDs, Christmas collections? Anything you want to?
Um, I knew that after Numinous, I wanted to do something that would be a little bit more familiar for people. Not everybody likes ambient music, and everybody loves Christmas music, that celebrates Christmas. So I was playing Christmas songs when I was 5, so I would do Christmas concerts in our living room, but I would make everybody leave the room so I wouldn't get, I didn't feel stared at. So yes, I've been playing Christmas music a long time, and it seemed like if I'm going to do cover songs, why not do cover songs that, are, everyone loves to hear at Christmas. So that's how Seasons Traditions happened.
Well, I'm going to play some of your Silent Night from that collection. You have many versions of Silent Night throughout the years, but this one really captures for me the George Skaroulis feel. So just give a listen for a second here. Wow. That's incredible, George. That really
Thank
is
you.
incredible. Wow. What do you have to say for yourself? Where do you come off? I mean, it's the way you let the notes breathe. I mean, have you always had an instinct? I mean, explain that. I mean, that's got to be in you.
I don't know exactly. It's always been kind of therapeutic for me to sit down and play. So sometimes it slows me down, if I get, it's just, I don't know. That's just the way I've found myself playing.
But you're not trained. That's what's so amazing. And most people really rush through songs, or at least, or when there is something to criticize. That's really what it is, or it's almost so sterile. It's just so. But you give so much texture in the way you play, and you do it all the time. I mean, it's amazing, and that's just that's to me the microcosm of the macrocosm of George Skaroulis, right there. That piece. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I just like to give the notes a little breathing space. So that's just, it is what it is.
Well, God bless that it is. Thank God it is. So let's move on over to generations now. So now I think we finally hit 2000, which we did. So we got a new millennium here. And I've noticed that opening track, Hopes and Dreams, has seen a lot of light of day. It made it to other collections. I'm assuming that's yours, that you wrote that. Am I correct?
It is.
That is.
Mhm.
Do you remember anything about that?
Well, I know that this CD was inspired by family photographs that were taken by my grandfather. So there's the generations concept, and I was at the time I wanted to create not only an album that kind of reflected my family heritage, but I also wanted to share all of these photographs that my grandfather had taken in his younger years before he immigrated to the United States. So his life, on the tiny island of Patmos in Greece, and then coming to the United States and documenting so many of his successes in his family. And, he always had a tripod. So he was always getting a family picture, which is now what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of inherited that trait from him. So in addition to the music, I wanted to put together a photography exhibit. And thanks to Matt McClendon, he designed the whole CD concept, the cover. We created together a beautiful exhibit that we took to the island of Patmos back in 2001, I believe. And that was probably the biggest life-changing event, to go to this island, bring these photographs that were nearly 80 years old, put up a complete exhibit that was open to the public for free. I did a concert one night and I was honored by one of the bishops on the island, and it was a great tribute, to be able to introduce my music to my kind of generations later, to my grandfather's distant relatives that are on the island, but also a lot of the people that were in the exhibit to see the show, these photographs, were recognizing people in photographs they'd never seen before. So it was kind of like, oh my God, that's me when I was a little girl, and here's this woman that's 80 years old. So it was that kind of, these were like a hidden gem of photographs that no one had ever seen. So it was so rewarding and such a unforgettable experience for me.
What I love is that you shared them in this booklet that's in the CD. Am I correct? I mean,
Correct.
that had to
Several of them.
be that had to be a pretty penny to include them. I mean, and now in this day and age when we really can't get a hold of these CDs, can you maybe share these pictures online for fans, or to get the whole experience? Because it does add an element when you see the history. You did a great job, George.
Thank you. Matt McClendon did a great job. He is the graphic designer and the mastermind behind, pairing all these wonderful, classic phrases and quotes from people like Pluto and Socrates, and
Mm-hmm.
and creating the magic of all of that together. And the other fun part about that was, I interviewed some of my elders in the family who were the historians. And so we identified a lot of the people. I didn't know who they were. So I sat down with my aunt, my uncle, and my mom, and we identified people and documented who they were. So, on the back of these photographs, the history is there, because you have a stack of photos, and if the elders pass, a lot of times the family history is like, it's kind of forgotten. So that was a great experiment for me, and I'm really proud of the outcome.
Oh my God, you should. So I'm going to play a little bit of Hopes and Dreams, and then I'm going to surprise you with what I'm going to play after that. So just sit back and enjoy this.
Okay. Wow, it sounds good. I'm so surprised. Shenandoah, I just remember that song from when I was a kid and just always was very moved by it. And it's such a classic. I don't know, I just felt like for generations, I wanted the music to have elements of Greece and also kind of just songs of America, and Shenandoah is such a classic American song. So, and ironically, it's one of the top sellers. It's like surprising that I guess a lot of people my age know the song. It depends on your generation, of course, but I just always loved it. So I'm glad you like it.
Oh, love it. Love it. Did you want to comment on Hopes and Dreams? You don't have to, but is there anything you'd like to say or something you remember?
Hopes and Dreams, I think, was the first track on Generations, right?
Whew.
Hopes and Dreams was kind of inspired by the whole Ellis Island experience and what it would be like, like my grandfather to come on a boat to the United States from Greece and a long journey and just all that excitement, anticipation, and the hopes and dreams that they would have had to come to the United States and the courage. So that was kind of the opening song because it was his journey from Greece to United States, and it was just kind of like all of that excitement and enthusiasm, I guess, for a new life.
Well, I appreciate that because I'm named after Michael Semeka, my grandfather, and he came to Ellis Island as a teenager, and my grandmother. And so we share that. And so it's nice to hear that came. I didn't know that Hopes and Dreams was about Ellis Island. So thank you for sharing that. Like I needed a greater connection to it, right?
Yes.
So I don't want to put a lot of pressure on you, but don't feel like you have to say anything. I mean, the music really does speak enough. And, this is just a walk, down memory lane for you. And it's
Right.
almost like good art. If you have something to say, go ahead and share it. But if you don't feel pressured that you have to say anything.
Well, I will tell you this. Agape, of course, means love, and Alethia means truth. So um, those songs were, I thought, pretty easy to pair together.
Right.
Short and sweet and simple.
Hmm. Well, do you enjoy listening to them? Just curious. Does it bring you any kind of feeling one way or the other? Because I know that you can cringe on some of your older recordings. I've seen you,
I
and
can, yes.
I've watched you, and I was like, please don't ruin it for me. So, how is it for you when you hear Generations and all these tracks?
Um, they do take me back to that time, to that good experience. For me, it seems a little more premature. Like the recording seems, I'm very critical about what it sounds like compared to what it sounds like now. So those are the earlier years, and so it sounds like the earlier years. But it's a nice collection, and so
Yeah, very nice collection. So I want to move on because I'm only going to do one from Return to Homeland, but I'm so glad you did do this to give these songs the light of day, the ones that did go away with Homeland, and you chose a couple of them. But I'm going to actually pick a little song here, a little short one that I think you did not do, I believe, on Homeland. Rosemary. What do you remember about that, if anything? Because if nothing, let me play a little bit for you, okay?
okay.
So, what do you remember of that piece?
All right. Well, rosemary comes from my love of the smell of rosemary, and rosemary is everywhere in Greece. And I had no idea that you were going to mention this song, but I want you to know right before we got started today, I went out to the garden and cut some
Oh
fresh rosemary.
my gosh.
And I did that right before we started just to kind of clear my head. And, rosemary's wonderful for remembering, for memory, so that's how connected we are.
Hmm.
Fresh rosemary.
Like we need another excuse to celebrate our connection, right?
Oh my goodness.
My goodness. That's wonderful. Is there anything you'd like to mention about Return to Homeland? Because honestly, this is one of those that I did burn out of my office. I mean, played it in its entirety, start track one, just put it on repeat. And it's one of those that just holds up. And boy, you really captured some history in this bad boy.
Thank you. Well, I was really excited when one of the songs from Return to Homeland was The Dance. And that short little piece was picked up by PBS years ago, and they did a wonderful aerial, you know, it was a DVD basically, and it premiered on PBS, and it was all this wonderful footage of Greece from the air. So
Mm.
the song "The Dance" was. introduced to a lot of people through PBS. And it's right at the, there's a sailboat scene when, this sailboat's pulling into the island of Santorini. So I was honored to be included with Santorini because it's such a beautiful place. And so that led to other things with PBS, just music being included. And it was a really nice surprise and opportunity. It really introduced me to a lot of listeners, new listeners, basically.
I think that this whole interview is going to really introduce you to a whole bunch of new listeners too. I hope that we could get this out there and that people will be able to really want to explore your catalog, through this. I mean, that is my intention, George, of doing this, just so you know, is that people find your music because it will benefit them, and that's the reality because it touches so deeply. And a beautiful part of life, like music does what words really rarely do, unless you're an amazing poet or an incredible storyteller. Music is one of the greatest art forms for touching deeply, and you do that very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to, I just want to do Adagio one time because do you want to talk about the collaboration with Chris Fierce? And honestly, I was even going to mention this to you when I see you one-on-one about Love and Understanding, the first track. And I thought that this could be something that could be used for one of the collection CDs moving forward that has a theme. I thought this was really nice. And I'm guessing obviously that Chris wrote it. I'm guessing it's his, but would you like to speak upon that, any of that?
Sure. I was listening to Chris Fierce's music for quite a long time and loved his style, loved the way he composed. And I wanted to include one of his songs on, I believe it was Return to Homeland. Okay. And so I called the office on the back of his album at the time and reached out to somebody, and this lady named Eleni answered the phone, and she was very nice, but she was very, curious. Who are you? Where are you from? She wanted to know who I was, and I told her I had interest in recording one of Chris's songs. And
can I say something?
Yes.
You have a song that's Eleni. Did you name it after her? And number two, this is going to end up being Chris's mom, isn't it?
Yes. How did you know that?
I wanted to have a chance to go there. I don't think it's written on the CD. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I wanted some bragging rights. I knew that she was being very protective. I felt the prickliness of Mama Bear looking out for her little cub.
Absolutely.
As soon as you started talking.
She was doing her job. And yes, I had a great chat with her. And I think I sent my music to Chris after that. And then we connected. But I was so nervous talking to her on the phone because I'd never really reached out to another artist. And I had no idea it was his mom until later. So I sat down and just started recording, and I titled the song after her.
Oh, I love it. As soon as you said Eleni, I just it just went click, click, click. So yeah, that's a great story.
And then, I encouraged Chris, I'm like, can I please, record more of your songs? And so that's how Adagio was born.
Now, did he play on any tracks at all, or it was just?
Nope, he just let me kind of do my own interpretations of his music.
That's beautiful. So are you familiar with the first track, Love and Understanding?
It's been a while.
that was Eleni. And I know that you're aware that there are people that play your music online. On YouTube, there's somebody that plays Eleni, a song that you wrote. What does that feel like when someone just is inspired to cover one of your songs and to just capture your melody and play it for themselves?
It's kind of crazy. It's so fascinating that people have taken the time to figure it out. And like, this is Alex Singh, and I've communicated with him before, but he has videos of himself playing this music, and he creates the sheet music. Like, I don't even have the music for sheet. I don't think I have sheet music for Eleni. So here he is playing, and it's just like, wow, he really nails it too.
Sounds like you, really, actually.
It does.
It's kind of scary.
Right.
Yeah, but that's good. Well, it is interesting to see how many people take your music and, really run with it. I mean, like, let's just jump around here. I'm going to go out of chronological order. I'm proud of myself for keeping it in chronological order, but Sting's version of Fragile. I mean, are you blown away at how far-reaching that song has gotten? And it's well-deserved, but I mean, do a search on George Skaroulis, right, on YouTube. And then when it says, how would you like to view this? And you can choose by, do you want the most views, the oldest, the newest? If you do most views, it's like the first 4 or 5 are these amazing videos that people have done to Fragile. And it doesn't sound at all like Sting's version. You really owned it. You gave it such a texture. Could you talk about that? Because I'm going to read some of these quotes, the ones that I can read. Would you please just talk about that, the Fragile recording at all?
I've loved that song for the longest time. I've heard Brazilian versions when Sting is singing in Brazilian, or is it Portuguese? Just fell in love with it, and I think the time that I heard it paired with an IMAX film I think it was called Living Seas. Gorgeous, gorgeous IMAX film, and Fragile was one of the songs that was probably opened up the film, and it was just so moving and so appropriate, and I just fell in love with it. And I loved kind of the Spanish style, or the kind of, the guitar was just amazing, and so we had to include a guitarist on the project. So I don't recall the gentleman's name at the time, I'm sorry, but it's been a long time ago, but I do love that recording. And my producer Trammell Starks did an incredible job kind of helping me orchestrate that. So it was fun to do.
Well, I have got to read some of these. By the way, if you go on YouTube and you put in George Skaroulis and then click filters, and if you click filters, one of your options is to have them sort by view count, and you will find that Fragile is up there 1, 2, 3, 4. And so many people have put videos, made their own videos like to this, and they were inspired and they captured the essence. And these are not official George Skaroulis videos. These are fans that found their way to this song and then had to interpret them. So I'm just going to read a few of these. Now, honestly, most of these comments are not in English. Again, it's absolutely fascinating, like marveloso. I mean, I think I know what that one means, but I'm going way down to the first one in English. Love all of your music. Many thanks for this subtle and beautiful selection. And then again, this is a different quote, but it sounds very similar. Listen to this quote from 2 years ago. This is the most beautiful music I have ever heard in my life. And then, how I love this song performed by my beloved Julio Iglesias. Tears appear on their own. And I'm just going on. Pure feelings on any note. It's dreamy and oh so gorgeous, so beautiful. And I'm skipping the ones that I cannot read because they're not in English. I can't even tell you what the language is, and they're multiple languages. So the music is melting the feeling. I mean, and this one video on this one is got over 400,000 views, George. And somebody took it upon themselves to make this video, and you'll see there are 3 or 4 people that have made this video and got mega hits on them. Like, so something magical is happening here in spite of you. And unless you go to YouTube, you would even be unaware of it, which is so fascinating. So what would you like to say about that? Because this is one of the things where I'm so in awe. This is where you are recognized as one of the world's greatest. This is where I think you do get the recognition. So what would you like to say about any of that?
I love YouTube because you can find anything, you can learn about anything on YouTube, and I love like tuning into some of my favorite musicians. I mean, lately I've been in a Celine Dion mood, so I've been watching her perform live, and she's just such an incredible vocalist, you know, and I had the opportunity to see her, and so it's wonderful to have such an open library of wonderful. You can choose your favorite song. I do it all the time. Like, what am I in the mood to hear? And just to see the visuals of the artist performing or singing, it's incredible. it's hard to keep up with. I really, I mean, you're the one that's really kind of said, you really don't know how many people have watched these videos, and because I don't look at it, but I know it's there, and it's like, what is that possible?
It would be fun for us to really just cut and paste all these quotes and translate them and find out what these people are saying. And I wish there was a way to know, where they're from, but at least in the translation, we can know at least what the originating language is. And I don't know. I just think it's so accurate and deserved that you are somehow finding your way around the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. So let's see. Where do I want to go from here? Do you need a breather?
I'll take a glass. Excuse me. Can you hold 1 second?
Wow. Sanctuary has been very good. It's been very good for Blue Night. It's been very good for Bodies. It is definitely a big staple in my life. And I can see this has got to be the CD that has endeared you to the holistic health and healing communities. So go ahead, take it.
Well, Sanctuary, I discovered after Numinous was released, I discovered that I had a lot of massage therapists using my music for their sessions because Numinous is over an hour long and it just has this nice, steady, gentle flow. So I started realizing a lot of body workers, and therapists were using my music. And so through my friend Angie Patrick at a massage warehouse years ago, she kind of opened the door for me and I started offering my music at Massage Warehouse. And she's a great friend. And I started doing massage therapy conventions in Florida and loved going back home to the state of Florida. And I just loved it. I loved meeting all those caregivers and those healers and those people who, were helping others. And so I made so many friends there and it was really fun I used to have like a listening station. So I had headphones with all the CDs lined up for people to listen and, they could see what felt good to them. And so I met so many wonderful people there and I did conventions. I played at conventions. I really enjoyed that wonderful group of people that are there to help other people. So it was kind of like we were helping each other. So it was great exposure for me. And Sanctuary was something that Angie Patrick and I created together. And it was basically a place for people to get reflexology, put on my music. It was right when Sanctuary came out. And so we created this wonderful fundraiser that raised a whole bunch of money for the Massage Therapy Foundation. So people put on music. They had a 10-minute, reflexology session, and they made it, all the proceeds went to charity. So
Wow.
it was really, really cool. And it was great exposure for me. So Sanctuary just kind of took off. And I love this collection. I'm really proud.
Me too. So I mentioned Breathe. Let me play a couple of minutes of this, or at least a minute of this. Give me a second here.
All right.
So what do you have to say for yourself, George Skaroulis?
Well, breathing is so vital. And I think when people are listening to this music, it does certainly make you do that, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that's why it kind of resonated with so many therapists and clients that were receiving healing work and energy work and massage therapy. And it just seemed like it fit. So
What do you remember about recording this at all? Because the titles are great. You've used many of these tracks in collections. Um, what do you remember about the recording, if anything? I mean, it's okay if you don't remember, but do you remember recording
I
any of these?
do, I do. This was kind of at a pivotal point in my life where there was kind of a big shift. And it was kind of like a rebirth for me. It was, definitely a big shift in my life. So, sometimes when there's conflict or not even conflict, but change, this has always kind of been my therapy. So
Hmm.
it all kind of fell together. And again,
Hmm.
Trammell Starks was my producer on this and we added some wonderful layers and
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. It definitely complements Numinous, but there's so many years in between, which is so fascinating. But yes, they are definitely my office's faves. So there you go. So that's pretty amazing.
maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to ask you about the years in between and what was it like? Because it's like growing up with George. Because what I did, I got your music from 2007 on. We haven't even hit that year yet for Imagine. So it's fun to see all the covers and what you looked like back then and with growing up with George Skaroulis and the different versions of you. And you know, what's that like when you look back and you see yourself, the snapshots, the different pictures, like the generations and all these pictures. And yeah, how do you feel when you look back on it's almost like a photo album book for you?
It is. It's each CD is like a chapter in my book of life, I guess. So it is
Hmm.
kind of a great retrospective to look back and um, Generations. That was a totally fun shoot, and that was on the campus of Emory University. And I looked so young and skinny there, but you know, here we are.
Here we are, a lot bigger and older.
Exactly,
Yeah, you
and
still look
hopefully
good.
wiser.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but we at least we have each other.
We're not wiser yet.
Well, I think if you're wiser, you certainly wouldn't claim that, right? I mean, that would be like almost like admitting that you're not. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. I think
True.
we appreciate what we've learned because we know how much less wiser we were in the past, but we're also more wiser to know how less we know now, even though
Exactly.
it's more.
I got you for
Yeah,
sure.
that's where I was going with that. So 2002, that was a good time. So explain this transition from 2002 to 2003 because it's a very different CD, Second Nature. And I picked the song called Awakening because I happen to love your titles. Let me play a little bit about Awakening and then get your comments, okay?
All right.
Let me tell you what I get a kick out of, okay? Because this is really fun for me. I know when I throw out a title, I really believe that at least 80% of the time you have no idea of the melody, and that this is why I'm enjoying playing them for you, because I feel like it's giving you a chance to go, oh yeah, that one. and
That is correct.
I'm having fun picking out selections that you're having to deal with.
It's like spin the wheel. It's kind of like
For you, yeah,
spin the bottle,
for
whatever.
me, it's a little more maniacal than that. I'm actually enjoying this. So, what would you like to say about the collection, number one? Because it is a very different collection for you. You could talk a little bit about what this whole theme was, because clearly there was a theme, and then that track that we just played.
It was really kind of an experimental. I wanted kind of a segue piece that was different from some of the others. Second Nature had River Runs Through It, which I absolutely love the film. I love the soundtrack, Mark Isham. That was one of his first songs that I ever covered that I really, really loved. I just wanted it to be in nature. It was inspired by the Atlanta Botanical Gardens. A lot of the shots were filmed in Piedmont Park. And the music was just kind of reconnecting with nature. So second nature, like playing the piano for me is second nature.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, I didn't get that. That's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
It's just like typing for me.
So who's Mrs. Soffel? If I'm saying it right, Mrs. Soffel. How am I saying this?
Soffel. It's a wonderful movie that featured Mel Gibson, I believe, and Diane Keaton, who I absolutely love.
Okay.
So this song was in the film, again, Mark Isham. Beautiful, haunting film. It's about a woman who is, I believe her husband is the prison ward. Okay. Well, she happens to fall in love with somebody that becomes a prisoner. So their love relationship is behind bars, basically.
Wow.
You know, he's on one side and he's on the other, and I don't recall the whole story, but it's I mean it's probably a 30-year-old movie, but beautiful and haunting. So I really was moved by that piece.
Wow. Is there anything else you'd like to comment about this collection or any songs that stick out for you? You mentioned A River Runs Through It, so I appreciated that. But is there
Love that.
anything about this time period? Is it that you have a neuro association with coming off of Sanctuary and how different this really is?
Um, it was just the next chapter, and
Mhm.
it seemed like second nature to do something.
I love it. I love it. Every time you say it now, second nature is second nature for me to be in nature. I do love that. Playing, I love it. That's really cool.
Thank you.
All right, let's see where we're going next. What does my notes tell me? Do you happen to know what's next? Oh, talk about a theme. Wow. 2005. You know the name of the album?
Yeah, let's see. I do not.
Forever Young.
Forever Young.
Now, here's a theme, right? And what I like about this and the song that I picked out, I believe it's one of your own songs, Parents. And I believe you covered your own song, which is cool because you covered songs. Now, am I missing that or help me out on this one?
No, that's true. I think Parents was on Generations. I felt like it kind of belonged on Forever Young, which is a kind of a reflection of some of my favorite childhood songs, like You Are My Sunshine, which I'm really proud of that recording.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tearjerker, it even gets me sometimes. So I wanted to include some classic children's songs and then just kind of create some of my own.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's amazing. It's an amazing, and it really does touch deep. I don't know what it is about some of these children classics, but the Itsy Bitsy Spider. I mean, who would cover the Itsy Bitsy Spider? That's just absolutely fascinating. And you did a great job with it. I mean, that's what's fun about it. Have you gotten a lot of
Colors.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. And you want to talk a little bit about the singer in that?
Yes, I do. He's a great guy. So True Colors was written by Cyndi Lauper, and love the song, love the meaning. And I was working at a law firm at the time. I was doing my music and I was working downtown in Atlanta at a law firm. And I worked with a guy who was a great vocalist, and he was kind of a rocker, kind of a Christian rocker. And his name is Kevin Lawson, and we're still friends.
Oh,
He's a
nice.
great guy. His wife's adorable. And so I invited him to sing, to take True Colors and kind of like add his voice to it, because I really wanted the lyrics included. I just didn't want the instrumental. So he obliged, and I think he did a great job.
He
And
did. Oh, what a quality to his voice. Oh my gosh. And he
yeah,
really did. He made it his own too, which is wonderful. Yeah.
nailed it.
with the sad ass. Don't be discouraged, or I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
It would be fun sometime for you to do a collection of some of these songs that you have had people sing here and there. You've done a really good job. Water is Wide, that female,
Yes.
that's going back. When I'm going chronologically back. But you've done a really good job, picking your spots. I'm always interested in that. I do find that fascinating. Like, okay, so here, and it's fascinating. It's fun to try to conceive what you're thinking,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice
absolutely.
to mix it up and have some different energy, and people come in and do their thing, so it's nice to collaborate.
Oh, love is handsome and love is fine. The sweetest flower when first it's new, but love grows old and waxes cold and fades away like morning dew. Build me a boat that can carry two, and both shall rule, my love and I, and both shall rule, my love and
Well, let me play a little bit of Parents here, and then you can comment, okay?
All right.
Hello.
Sorry, got lost there.
No, please. So, where did this melody come from? I mean, it does fit perfectly. It was almost like you could almost imagine that the song even inspired the collection, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I dedicated that to my parents, and like I said, I think it appeared first on Generations, and I just felt like it needed to kind of get reworked a little bit with the
Hmm.
violin, and so that's definitely the tribute to my parents.
That's nice. Do you,
Thank you.
were they involved in your when you were coming up with the melody? Did you know that you were going to come up with that kind of melody, if you know what I mean? Or did you let the thoughts of them kind of take you? How do you do this? I mean, this kind of writing, you know?
I don't really know. I just sit down and I do just kind of think about what I'm feeling about my parents, and that's just kind of what happened.
Wow.
So I can't explain it. It's just
Have you ever had a melody come to you before you even got to the piano at all? Or, you know, you ever get it from a dream or anything? Or, you know, you hear a song and then it gives you an idea or like a muse or an inspiration or something that
right.
gets you to write. Do you do that?
No, it happens to me when I'm sitting here, and people think I probably play the piano every day and I practice every day, and there are times when I don't play the piano for a week or two. I don't really force it. So when I'm working on a new project, I'll just kind of sit down and get in the right mood, be in a quiet place, light some candles, and just kind of channel this energy into the keyboard. So
I do want to tell on you a little bit, if I may. I think that because you did that recently for Dreams of Greece, and I think it's fascinating that you can sit at the piano, get into a state, and then start playing, and then listen to what you've played, and like you'll play for a while, and you'll just be in this long creative process, and you'll find portions, segments, and then you'll turn them into songs. And I hope it's okay that I'm sharing this, but I find that part of the process to be fascinating. Do you do that often, or is that only recently that that's something that you've done?
no, because I don't sit down and say, I'm going to write a song. I don't, it doesn't start like that. It just starts with me like being in the right frame of mind to sit down and want to express myself. And so sometimes I'll play for 45 minutes,
Right.
I'll just keep playing. And then I'll go back the next day and just like listen to it and say, oh, wow, I like this.
Right.
Or
I like
here's where I
this.
made a mistake, and all that. I can just kind of like listen to and if I need to re-record it or, um, do another take, I will. And sometimes it just is as it is. But there are sometimes several songs that'll happen from me just sitting down and playing.
So I would call that channeling. I mean, I really believe like it's just coming in like a stream of consciousness, you know?
Right.
Do you ever think of it like that? Or is it just, you don't, you just, because it's just happening? Do you feel like, do you know that you're in the middle of the throes of something magical or creative or?
I know it feels good when I'm doing it. It's sometimes I'll think, oh my God, I think I like this a lot. And then I'll listen to it the next day and go, it's not that great. Or vice versa. Sometimes I'll have to just give it some time. And there's a lot of music that I've been recording for the Dreams of Greece project that's kind of been on the bookshelf for a little while. It's been sitting. So I'm about to kind of jump back in and go in and listen, because sometimes you just need to give, as I like to give
Distance.
note space, you need to give. I have to kind of like, sometimes I want to step away from it and not stare at it too long or listen to it too much.
Come back with
So
new ears.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you hear things differently at different times. So for me, it's going to be, I've got tons of music that I need to just kind of sit down and listen to,
Mm-hmm.
and start making some selections to kind of pull this project together.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's fun. Well, I really do want to know this. I mean, because you actually offered that to me about, just playing and then listening the next day and going, hey, there's some really good pieces here I'd like to use and elaborate on and play with. And I'm thinking like, wow, what a fun way, a process, to sit there. It's almost like writing, stream of consciousness, don't edit, just go ahead and do it. And then
Right.
later on, find what you like and then do your embellishments and your layering or whatever you do to create an arrangement or whatever you hear. Do you ever play and then hear a song that's already been out there come out? Like, and all of a sudden, like, just go, oh, all of a sudden I'm playing, we can jump to Shine right now. Oh, first time ever I saw your face. Does it ever just sneak out or slip through while you're doing stream of consciousness? Or do you actually sit down and go, no, I want to do that song?
Oh no, it's very often, a song that I love will come to mind, and I'll be playing one thing and it'll turn into, first time ever I saw your face, or Windmills of Your Mind.
Oh, you nailed that one, by the way. Wow, that's an amazing piece.
Yeah,
Wow.
so sometimes they just kind of interweave, and I have to kind of go, wait, this is this, but sometimes they flow together. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how Fragile happened. It's kind of
Well, we're actually at that point now. I went out of sync, but now we're at the 2007 and the reunion collection. And I think this is the first time Fragile saw itself, right, come out on the reunion collection. Am I right? Or do you don't even know? You're not even sure, are you?
I think Fragile came out on Sanctuary 1.
Oh, is that right?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to check that.
I'll have to
I'm
check
gonna
my
say no.
library.
I'm gonna say no.
You know my stuff.
Let
So
me look out. I mean, I don't think so. But I can understand the thinking that there's a lot of similarity as far as energy of the music, but I'm trying to think if I have access to your library right here. One moment. Let's go to my music collection and go to George.
reunion, maybe you're right. Is that the
Yeah,
first time?
I'm looking right now. One moment. Nope, it's not on reunion, my friend.
Sanctuary 2. Yeah, it's on Sanctuary 2.
Yeah, but
it
that was
first-
after the fact. That was after 2007, though.
You're right. It
That was
appeared
my
in-
point. My point was that here's this collection that you have. Like, some bands will do that. They'll do like their greatest hits, Paul Simon, Fleetwood Mac, and they'll be like, but never released single coming up with this collection. And that's what reunion is like. It's a collection of some great stuff mixed in with some new stuff like that.
You are absolutely right. You get the prize for
Hey,
knowing
look,
your stuff.
I do well, not always, but in this case, yeah. But in this case, absolutely. Yeah, this is where they're calling. I'm looking at it right now. Hopes and Dreams. Wow. Numinous. Yep. Reunion is in there. A New Day, Athenia. Good stuff. Now, as far as the Snow, the next Christmas collection, I picked one that I think is not a Christmas song, and it's perfect for what your music does for me in my office. Song for Peace. Are you familiar with that?
I would need to listen to that.
Well, then let me play a couple of notes for you, okay?
Okay, great.
Okay, one moment, please. So what do you think now? Song for Peace in the middle of a Christmas collection. For me, it makes sense because Silent Night is all about like all is calm, all is bright. Song for Peace. I feel like you did a good job here. What do you think about that number?
I really just wanted to create something that was it's a song that was recorded, and I'm like, I kind of applied a title at the end, really. I didn't like, I'm going to write a song for peace. It just felt appropriate. So
it feels very Christmassy, and the
right,
dung,
right.
dung,
Yeah.
snowy, and it's the album is Snow. So I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
So you didn't really sit down and say, I'm going to write a Christmas song or song for peace. That's interesting.
I think the song came first on that one.
Wow. Fascinating.
Which is often the case. I mean, honestly, a lot of times I have no idea what these songs are going to be titled. I just kind of listen to them and just kind of see where my head goes. And that's kind of how it happens most of the time.
Well, I do want to tell you about Imagine, because this is the CD we're up to now, 2009. Wow. I mean, just wow, wow, and wow. And I want to read some quotes that I had of people that I put away because it was just so glowing for you. And I'm trying to find it now because I've got so many pages open here because I wanted to do this.
I'm going to go there myself.
Amazing collection from John Lennon's song Imagine, which is the title track, to Send in the Clowns, my favorite, Both Sides Now. You do an incredible version of Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. That gets a lot of love in my office, just so you know. People really like that one.
And I have to tell you that I fell in love with Katie Lang's version. I'm a huge Katie Lang fan, and her version of Hallelujah really just moved me. So she inspired me to cover the song.
Oh, that's nice. So let me read. This is about Unchained Melody. Beautiful arrangement of this classic song. Enjoyed very, very much. Happy Valentine's. Superb. I can't read the rest. It's not in English. Absolutely wonderful. I love this. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful music. Love this rendition. Thank you. Fantastic music. Nicely done. Profound. I'm just going down the line. That's not in English. Brilliant. Beautiful. I love this song. Thank you, my friend. Superb. Sweet piano music. Great cover. Sometimes here on YouTube, clips come up when you need them most. They show you the sweetest corners of your mind while getting lost in their own landscapes.
Wow, that's a nice one.
The strength of their colors, the warmest hugs of the sun, the melodies you can't help dreaming of. Despite any melancholy, perfect job. Thanks, my friend. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I love just reading these quotes. I got to be honest with you. It warms my heart for you to get the love that I know is so deserved. And I don't mean that in a way like, you're cheated or it's not fair. It's just that it's very rarely that there's a George Skaroulis in the world that captures what you capture, and that I can approach you and talk to you and become friends with you. And you're such a beautiful spirit inside and out. And so I love this.
Thank you so much. I really wanted to do a cover, pretty much all cover album, and I love Both Sides Now. That I got
My
a
favorite.
massage probably 2 years ago, and the therapist is a dear friend of mine, and she's a massage therapist at the Ritz-Carlton, and I played a charity event, and they treated me to a complimentary massage. She goes, "Do you mind if I play your music?" And I'm like, I'd rather you not, but she did anyway.
Mhm.
And Both Sides Now came on, and I started crying because like I said, I don't really listen to it. So I was really moved by that. And I wrote that for my dear friend, Matt McClendon, who was such a huge part of my life and an amazing graphic designer. And so he helped pull that all together. And
Nice.
my dear friend, Darcy Pino, took that photograph. There was
Beautiful.
a wonderful basically a huge warehouse of old pianos off of I-20 in Atlanta. And I used to love to go in there and take pictures. The guy would just you could just walk around and just see pianos upon pianos stacked upon each other. And I kind of knew that was going to be the place where I wanted to have this photo taken. So we got permission. Darcy and I went in there and threw up some lights, and she did a beautiful job. And
Yes.
Matt put it all together and created that amazing cover. So I'm really proud of that.
What a collection. Amazing Grace, right? I mean,
Thank you.
wow. So did I ever get the opportunity to tell you how much I enjoy Both Sides Now? Do you remember me ever mentioning that to you
I
ever?
do.
Oh,
I do.
good, good.
It's a standout for me. I really love
Yeah.
that. Send in the Clowns was my dad's favorite song, so
Mhm.
I had to include that. You know,
I got to give you my little light. I believe in my lifetime, the best singers in my lifetime. For men, I give it up to Frank Sinatra just because I love the way he turns a phrase. I just think he's gifted in his own way. And then Barbara Streisand. And
love.
they both did it, an amazing version of Send in the Clowns. To me, that's where it matches and melds. You know, she did an amazing version live in that One Voice concert when she came back, and 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 Frank did it, you know, later on when it, you know, in his career. And so I hold both of them in such high regards as far as, in my estimation, best female and best male singer of my lifetime, or at least the way I appreciate them, just pure quality of voice. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's I like that always stood out, that, you know, here's a crossover where they both did a version of this song. And
Right.
how many people did versions of Send in the Clowns? Oh my gosh, you know, but they did them excellently. So
Thank you.
as did you, my friend.
Thank you.
I think I've told you numerous times how much I appreciate Passions. And what a jump from 2009 to 2013. So that's your longest period where you didn't put out an album. And,
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Unless I'm missing something. Am I missing one? You
Um,
may have done, I don't know, you know, songs for Sophie,
Oh,
little
right.
collections like that. But I mean, you can't throw out one song and call that a whole CD, George. I mean,
Correct.
that's really a collection. And you did like America the Beautiful. You've had singles along the way. As your fan, I can tell you that. But I think the full collection, and God, where did this come from? Where did you come up? I tell you this all the time. If you have Passions on your computer, please open it up, take the settings, save as, and just record over it, keeping those settings. I love how stripped down it is. It is beautiful. It's brilliant. I don't know if you get a lot of love for that collection. You tell me if you don't, or I'm curious, but wow. You know, I did find on YouTube, I have a quote for you. Piano Night, Love and Passions. Close your eyes and dream. Thank you. So angelic. And this is my quote that I think one of the reasons I want to read these next two for you. Thank God with all my heart for people like George, choking me up, that have such a profound effect and enrich our lives, making our existence meaningful.
Wow.
That's, yeah. And then right under that, I can't find enough words to truly express the beauty of these pieces as you just silently listen. Each keystroke brings about comfort and satisfaction to the mind, relaxation and enjoyment. Lovely. And that's all one quote. And it was this collection where I've noticed if the song is in the key of A and you go back to A, you know, that whole, whatever it is, the opposite of a sustained, where you're fulfilled, you know, where you complete it, you know, you hit the completion so softly that there's still a lingering. I'm so in awe at how you did this collection. And it's really, I don't know of other ones where this became a theme for you, where when you return to whatever it is to complete it, it's done so softly. I call it like a wisp. And it just works. It just sends me out into the ethers. So I'm just going to read more. George is the best. It's wonderful. Thank you, George. This melody is the language of God. All day I hear and relax. Thanks for adding this wonderful piano melody here. So beautiful. Deep, wistful magic. The song that I'm going to play for you right now, it's perfectly timed, Hope, which I think, to me, captures the ultimate theme. The whole album could have been called Hope. Let me play some for this, and then I want to get your words about both the collection and the song, okay?
Okay, great. So here's the story with Passions. Passions had a lot of good energy behind it. And I basically invited people who were supporters of my music. I was creating a new collection, and I invited certain people, and they kind of helped fund the project for me, basically. And so I reached out to people that I thought might be interested, and they contributed financially to kind of help the studio process. So they wrote to me and said, I want you to write a song, and here's the title. So the whole album is a collection of songs that I wrote for other people in honor of other people. So Hope is a perfect example. That was written for someone who needed some hope at the time. So many different things. One of my dear friends, another artist, Carol Meisner, I wrote the song for her and her partner, and the song is called
I can look at
Aftermath.
the woman that you wrote Aftermath for?
Carol Meisner and her partner Anne.
Good.
Yeah. And we still stay in touch. I will see them when I do a benefit for the the Humane Society in the Highlands in North Carolina
Nice.
in June.
Oh, wow. Cool. We love the
So,
Highlands.
yes,
We go there quite often. So
they're great
that's
people.
nice. Yeah, that's wonderful. So anything else personally about, I mean, am I crazy? Or you don't have to agree with me, but are you in awe at how that just sounds differently? Like the settings, that whatever you used, it's just it just sounds so different from other George Skaroulis collections. And every song has a similar feel to the other song in sound. And I was curious about that.
That was very likely the result of sitting down and playing for, an hour or two at a time. And having these titles in my head, of songs that were going to be dedicated to other people. And I wanted to keep it simple and solo piano. And it is very likely that some of those songs, will be revisited and kind of reinterpreted. Maybe we had, I think you might like that. More instrumentation and just kind of breathe kind of a different breath into. So.
There's some great melodies there, bro. I mean, seriously, some really, really classic, timeless pieces in there. So, I mean, it's just one of those, an extra well done, just want to give that to you. And, I'm so looking forward to seeing what people do with this information when they hear all this, and then they can go online and see what's really available. They could even hear it on YouTube first before they decide to purchase like the MP3, will all these things be available on MP3, George? I mean, how is that going to work? I mean, I'm curious about what happens. I saw that you had sold out of all your physical CDs, or at least all the titles, except maybe, I don't know, one or two, you tell me. But what happens now? What happens to the fan? What happens to somebody who wants to go through your collection like I did? Do they have access to this stuff? What happens?
As far as physical copies, probably no. I pretty much have sold out of all the actual hard copy CDs that I have ever created from the past. And because people have, kind of moved into digital preference, I do have, Shine and Divinity of Dogs, and I have a few other CDs that are the most recent CDs that are available still. But the beauty now is that, we're not creating land waste. We're not,
That's true.
So I'm grateful for that. And the music is readily available anywhere, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, all the places that you listen to music, and of course, YouTube. So that's the beauty. There are a few people that are holdouts, and they want that hard copy CD. And so it's kind of like trying to find a cassette, Some people still have a cassette player, so
I like the booklet. I like the story. I like the pictures. I mean, until you start posting the booklet info on the website so people can at least enjoy.
That is a great idea.
I love holding the stories and the pictures, and you've done a great job with that. If you weren't so good at it, it wouldn't be a big deal, George. I mean,
I
really.
can't take the credit for all of that, but I agree. I think I never thought of doing that, but I think it's a great idea to have access because there's so many people involved that are not credited on the cover, When you open it up, it's like everybody that was a part of my life is in that thank you at the time, and all the people that did production, graphic design and all of it. So it's not like I have a team of people that helped me make this happen. And this album was also inspired by Brian Barron. So I wrote this album for him, and this is also a new stage in my life. So this was for him.
The Baron.
The Baron, yes.
That's wonderful. That brings us to the poster behind you. Wow, you really blew me away. Now you and I are very good friends now at this point. What year is this? Let me look at this. This is 2015, Sanctuary 2. Wow. 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 At least we are aware of each other. I wouldn't say very good friends, not like we are now, but we were certainly aware of each other. And I appreciated this collection. What do you want to say about it besides, wow, even you have to be in awe at this collection? I mean, come on, give it to me, right?
I do love this collection. It is kind of like the new Return to Homeland. It is very reflective of my Greek heritage. And the white dove on the cover, you know, when I was a kid, I used to raise birds. I used to raise finches and canaries and white dove. I loved magic when I was a kid, so I wanted white doves for my magic tricks. So I raised my own, and I would hand feed them and everything. So white dove, my grandfather, you know, he used to raise birds when he was younger, so I kind of learned that from him. So I love birds. I was a member of the Suncoast Finch Society in Clearwater, Florida when I was a kid. So I had my white doves that I could just carry around on my shoulder. And also the symbolism of a white dove is just peace and unity. And that also speaks to me. And since I grew up near the town of Tarpon Springs, where my dad was born, you know, attending the Epiphany celebration in January, where they release a white dove, it's very symbolic of the Epiphany celebration. So it's kind of a tribute to him also. And Sanctuary is, again, another kind of a follow-up to Sanctuary 1. People wanted that ethereal. I got so much love from Sanctuary. I thought it was time to do something that was similar but different. Some cover tunes.
Well, let me ask you about the marketing of this, because boy, you really got into it. I mean, the little key, Love is the Key is the first song, and you had the little keys. You might have anything. I don't know. I'm not going to make you get up, and the candles, you did so well with this. Like, you had people helping, and people were able to purchase different levels. And I mean, that was really interesting that you got so into that, and it was fun. It was fun for me. I mean, I've got mine. So explain where all that came from. Were you just in a marketing mind, or was it just the fun of it? Give it to me that.
Well, I love concepting things, and so I like everything to have a meaning and a purpose. And Sanctuary 2 was kind of revisiting and kind of like a thank you to all of my massage therapist friends. So
absolutely, that
was kind of introduced to that crowd of people and all of those supporters. And, you know, I make soy candles, and I usually make a good batch maybe twice a year. And so I was selling Sanctuary candles when I'd go to the massage therapy conventions, and I made sugar scrub, and I made all kinds of, like, what's the right word? Complimentary things,
merch. You weren't selling them like that, but it was all artsy. You're very artsy, George. But a lot of people don't realize that your creativity, your goes way beyond music. I mean, you're hands-on, like, what do they call them? Manipulatives. You love to build things, and you're fun when it comes to, and the food. You're not even talking about that. I mean, your love for cuisine and cooking and all of that. So
yeah, huge other part of my life is the food world. And I spent over 20 years, gosh, it's been more than that, probably 30 years in the restaurant business, or in the food preparation venue, I guess. Restaurants from when I was a kid, and I really enjoyed cooking for Piedmont Cancer Wellness. I was introduced to Piedmont through playing the piano for Valentine's Day, and I saw this beautiful kitchen at the Cancer Wellness Center, and I'm like, what do I need to do to work in this kitchen? And they were like, I took the director, Carolyn Helmer, lunch one day, and she's like, you're in. And so I started teaching Mediterranean cooking classes.
I remember that.
Or just fixing meals for so many of the programs that they had going on. So it was so rewarding. I made so many good friends, and I just got so many good hugs from a lot of those people that were struggling with cancer and and surviving. So
Yeah, and it showed how much that was, you were getting so much back because you were doing something that was really meaningful, and there was no way of minimizing that, and you needed that at that time. It was really,
I
it
really
was,
miss it. I
yeah.
hope it, I
Oh,
hope it can go
yeah,
back.
yeah. All in good time, dearie.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that gets us to the last one before the Christmas CD, Shine, and I had a lot to do with this one, huh?
Yes, you did.
So
Final part.
what would you like to say about this? Because I'll let you do all the talking. Oh, wait a minute. I want to play Love is the Key. Do you mind if I just do a little bit of that? I was so excited to get done here and finish this up because I know this is forever. This is a
No, that's
ridiculously
great.
long interview. I hope you don't mind the amount of time that I'm taking
I'm
to really.
grateful that you
Oh,
care to listen. So
oh,
thank you.
good, good, good. Well, let me play Love is the Key, okay?
All right,
Give me a
great.
second. I've got a good neuro association with that one. So,
Really?
George Skaroulis, what do you have to say for yourself on Love is the Key?
Love is the key. So we've been talking about all the wonderful massage therapists and friends that I've made through my music. And I wrote this song for a very sweet lady. Her name is Joanne Saxon. And she passed probably 10 years ago, or probably more than that. She was just a fireball of energy and such a huge supporter of my music. She would come to these booths when I was working at the massage conventions, and she would sell like nobody's business. And because she was a therapist, she was a Reiki master, she was a registered nurse. She took care of people that were elderly who needed. She was an angel. She was such a sweetheart and so supportive of me, and so like, watch how you say things. You need to be more kind to yourself. And she was kind of that person that was always reminding me how valuable what I do is, when I probably needed to hear that. And she was such a big cheerleader for me. And so when she passed, it was just, that was for her, and it's like, even when I was doing conventions without her, she was still there, she was still there. Like, she was like a magnet, and people trusted her and adored her. And she would go right to it. You need this, this, and this. And she was just the best. She was really, really sweet. And I have pictures of her that she gave me before she passed, and they show up all the time. So Joanne just kind of like, and I know she's laughing. She goes, "You found me." It's kind of that thing. She's my guardian angel. So really a sweetheart. So it's not a surprise that you kind of tuned into that.
Yeah. Wow. I don't want to speak after that, George. Forgive me. So could you help me with the video that you made off of that album? incredible work. And I don't know.
Misirlou.
Yes, I don't know if people even know that you did all of that. You learned how to do all that. I actually talked you off the ledge a little bit here and there, but you did. You really did it. You did it. And that's your sister, Maria, in there. And what do you want to say about that song? I want to show a little bit of that video, but what do you want to say about that?
Okay. That was a song I learned when I was a kid. It was a favorite of my grandfather's. It's a classic Greek song, although the song has so many arms and legs and so many different cultures claim it's theirs. So from what I know, it's a Greek song written by a Greek composer. But again, it's embraced by so many cultures. So it's kind of like this universal song that people recognize, and it's an oldie. So I wanted, as a tribute to do that for my grandfather, and I wanted to kind of bring it to life. And so we did two versions, a very kind of slow version and one that's kind of more of like a little more upbeat. So I absolutely love the song. I love the orchestration and the way it all turned out. And so in 2019, I was in Patmos, Greece, and with Brian and my sister Maria. And, she's a wonderful aerialist and dancer, and she's an artist herself. And so probably the last couple of days on the island, I found this beautiful blue scarf, and I'm like, we've got to shoot a video. And so I wanted, I kind of had planned to do this, but it was very spontaneous. And, I did the videography, she did the dancing, and then we just I pieced it together, and, it took probably a year and a half or longer to figure out, because I've never really done a video like that. All this imagery kind of evolves into each other. It kind of tells a story, and
The gear, the clock, oh, the her. I mean, wow, just an amazing, amazing job. I mean, this is where you really took your creativity to a whole new level, especially delving into the visual side of your own music. That was beautiful.
thank you. I'm really I can watch that and go, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'm really proud of it, and I look forward to going back and doing more, shooting more footage and pairing it with my
Absolutely.
music, for sure.
Well, you're an artist, that's it. You're a creative. You got, you have to really see the light of day. Let all your creativity see the light of day, not just your piano compositions and playing and interpretations and renditions. There's a lot. I think that's one of the reasons that you and I get on so well, is that as much as I'm an appreciation for the depth of your talents as a piano player, I also encourage these other sides because I know how important they are to the man, George Skaroulis, and I love being a cheerleader for that,
Thank you. You have encouraged me in many different ways, so I'm grateful for that.
Oh, look at you. Do I want to leave that now? Is that it? I guess we can go there and go into Shine. The thing I know about Shine the most is it The Light in the Dark? Is that the name of the song? It's my ringtone that wakes me up. That's my alarm. That's what I use to wake me up. Oh, yeah. Oh, and it's beautiful. try to imagine waking up to that. My wife goes, "That's so beautiful. I mean, that's the nicest alarm sound ever."
I like it, yeah. And I like the people that I wrote it for. And I wrote it for dear friends that I worked with at Cancer Wellness, Angela and Dennis Buttermer. And they were so involved there, teaching these wonderful classes and helping people with drum circles, meditation, all kinds of issues. They really helped a lot of people. And that song was kind of written for them, you know,
Thank you.
because in dark times, you go to the light. And they were just such.
But
Okay.
but I was going to talk to you about the light and the dark, how that came out even before you did the whole Lighthouse project. And I thought that was kind of cool that that overlapped because the Lighthouse project came later. So was there a connection? And I think, and I really didn't know if there was. So I think you're answering that for me.
Yeah, there is no connection.
Wow.
Light in the Dark came first, way before the song called The Lighthouse came out, which was a tribute and kind of a complimentary song that I did for the American Friends for the Blind in Greece.
Did you want to talk about Journey of a Lifetime? Because that was the one that I was mentioning, sounds like For You to me, the song For You by Coldplay. Where do you come off writing a melody like that? Like what the audacity to come up with that melody? Like who the hell do you think you are? Right.
I'm just me.
I know, but I couldn't resist. I mean, that's it. Do you ever appreciate that melody or like, wow?
Again, it's something I haven't heard in a couple years, probably, since I really just don't listen to my music.
What do you can say about that? You just finished it just a couple of months ago. Great selections. I mean, good.
Thank you. I knew that there were lots of great songs that I did not include on some of my past projects. And, you know, there was a period of time when Christmas was difficult for me. And this year, I kind of got back into the spirit for various reasons. And it was just a happy holiday for me.
Mhm.
And I just got in the mood, so I decorated the studio and, there was lights everywhere, and I just sat down, and it really happened in a very short period of time. And I think the album was released like around the 22nd or 23rd
Mhm.
of
Just
December.
Just before Christmas. Yep.
And it was kind of a surprise for some people. And they were like, wow, I just got this new album and I'm baking cookies. It was like a last minute, like it just shows up, and it was kind of a nice surprise. I wanted to have it done sooner, but it's going to be around for years. So you can play it early next year. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I have to pick on the title track because I helped you with the title because it was funny.
Yes,
Winter
you did.
Wonderland and Winterland. And I love that you use that as the name of the CD and the only original song that's on there. So let me play a little bit of that right here, and then you can talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Okay.
What do you think?
Well, first, I want to thank you for helping me with this title. And this is dedicated to you, as you know. So I'm grateful for that. And I wanted to create something new that was, like I said, there's several cover songs in this collection, but you kind of helped push me through this and make it happen in time. And you encouraged me not to rush it, and I didn't.
You didn't. I said, I kept throwing in your face, George, you're a creative. You have to learn how to be a creative, and you got to let it come in its time. Yeah, that's
Right.
awesome. Thank you
For that lesson.
Well, what do you want to leave us with about Dreams of Greece? What do you want to tell us about the collection so far? Can you whet our palates a little bit? Whet our appetite? What do you got?
Yes. So the last time that I was in Greece in 2019, I came home and my mother-in-law passed away shortly after we got back, and it was a really difficult time, for the family. And per usual, I did have like 4 days alone in the studio at that time. So a lot of the songs that are going to be featured on Dreams of Greece were songs that were inspired right after my trip to Greece. So it's such a powerful time to be there. It's like soaking up the sun, you soak up all this Mediterranean energy. And so when I come home, I didn't really have a keyboard in Greece or a piano to play on. So very often when I come back from a trip that's so meaningful for me, I sit down and it all just kind of comes out. So a lot of music was recorded after my return home. And I look forward to going back to Greece, always. I hope to go this summer. So I would love to say that Dreams of Greece is going to come out right before I get on a plane to Greece. Hopefully that'll happen. But if not, if it doesn't happen this year and I don't get to return this summer, the music will be ready. So
absolutely
coming close. So
well, you could feel the theme already. I mean, you already know what's going to fit. You know what I'm saying? You could already feel it.
Right.
For
sure.
Okay, good.
A lot of these songs haven't been listened to in a while, and so now I'm in the process of opening up these collections of songs and finding what speaks to me the loudest.
Well, George, before we say goodbye here, I want to make sure if there are any quotes here that I left, because I had so many opened up. Pure magic. Swear. I admire any artist who uses the high notes of the piano, just like Giovanni. Wow.
Interesting.
Look at that. There is something about the music of George Skaroulis. It's wherever the mood takes you. Listen to this one. This piece is pure magic. When I listen to it, I feel like the time has stopped. I'm so happy I found this artist, and I'm still wondering, why is he so unfamous? I love that quote.
People write that.
Yep, he wrote that. Absolutely. So, George, thank you. What an honor. I'm glad that I wasn't as nervous at the end of this as I was in the beginning in preparing for you. I'm not going to say, I think let's just close this thing. It was wonderful. I think we've said it all. We left it all out there. You know what you mean to me.
So much. It was a pleasure, as always, to talk to you. And thanks for being such a good friend and cheerleader. And I really am so grateful for your interest and love for my music. I'm very grateful. So
and
thanks
the
for
man,
everything you've done.
and the man, and the man,
and the man,
and the man, and definitely okay. Till next time, beautiful man. Thank you for this, and we're going to close out with the Misirlou video that you made. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'll talk to you later.
All the best. You're the best.
Bye.
Thank you.